Our whole life centers around this notion of God realization. Everything that you do in the day should be, because the purpose of life is God realization, right? And so everything that we do in the day should be used in some way to bring us to that consciousness, to that awareness of the divine. And we, in our creative self, we look for ways of doing everything that we do during the day, so that we can give it a spiritual twist. If just doing things for mother instead of, for whatever they are, or just trying to see things that remind us, like Thakur's talked about this man who saw an old man with a cane made of a certain wood, and that wood was the type of wood that Krishna's flute was made of. And so immediately he thought of Krishna, and his mind was soaring again. And so this is just a way of constantly thinking of God. And so Mother is going to talk about it here a little bit. And of course, watching Nicole nurture that kitten like that is definitely God as mother right there. You see how helpless and small we are in the arms of Mother, having to depend on the divine for everything. Yes, indeed. That's so adorable. And so this is the notion to remember that, and to build that faith in Mother. The faith is the root of everything. And Thakur says that several times in the gospel. And normally we think, oh, faith in the existence of God and faith in this and that. That's all fine. That's of course of course important. But faith really is in grace. Faith has to be in divine love. That's what you have to really, 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 really absorb yourself in. Because when it comes down to the practice, at some point in your practice, you're faced with having to give yourself up. You're faced with having to release your story, even the favorite parts of your story about yourself. And, the ego will want to jump in there and take control and sort of be like, yes, we can do this, and get kind of a zealot's attitude about giving things up and handing it over. But the ego stays in control, right? The ego wants to be able to do it. But what we're faced with in spiritual practice is absolute grace. So grace that gives us everything. And what that means is that you have to come to a place where you realize and know all the way down your ability to give nothing, right? Your ability to not be able to pay your way to realization, or not be able to carry yourself to realization. So you have to have that faith in divine love, that faith in the grace of the beloved, because you're going to have to take everything off and lay everything down that you love and think you're capable of, and allow Mother to give it all to you. So we have to develop that absolute humility and that absolute contrite heart, and that broken spirit of having tried desperately to do it ourselves, tried really hard to be really good people and to be perfect people in every way, and we can't do it. And so there comes a point where you have to switch a very honest opinion around. You have to kind of put Mother in front and say, and just surrender in that sense of, I've tried everything. I've done my very best, and I can't. And Mother will take your hand and bring you the rest of the way, bring you home. That's one way of looking at it. The other way is if you're a camel and you've got a huge load on your back of karma that you're carrying around, and after when you're down to your last piece of karma, the only thing that's keeping you as an ego self, as keeping you separate from God, who is there to lift that last piece off? Because if you lift that last piece, you no longer exist. Your karma is dissolved, you're gone. And so it's by grace alone that last piece of karma gets lifted off of your shoulders, so that you can find yourself one with the beloved, one with the divine, going to that one without a second. So Mother says here, the world is the Lord's. He created it for his own play. We are mere pawns in his game. Wherever he keeps us, and in whatever way he does so, we have to abide by it contentedly. All right, this is a tough teaching. This is really the crux of spiritual life is being content with the moment, being able to see your present circumstance, your present what mother is bringing before you at this moment as perfect. Nothing needs to be changed. So you need to open up to it completely. You need to accept everything about it. That means even your own self, even your own condition has to be fully accepted. And you have to you have to be able to find your bliss no matter what. And so that's why it's always a great exercise in the moment to realize that in this moment right now, you've already been taught everything that you need to know to realize God. You already have all the tools that you need to realize God. You've already got everything necessary. The only thing you need to do is do it. And that's a matter of surrender. It's a matter of faith in that divine love. And it's a matter of humility, a matter of being willing to accept it. So she's saying this is the Lord's play. Now, we can take the Advaita out of the corner of our dhotis for a minute, as Buck does, and understand that that implies it's our game, right? You're playing this game. God isn't doing this to you. You're doing it to yourself, right? Because Mother tells you, you can have your realization this very moment if you want it, right? So there's something in us that's holding on. There's something in us that's not willing to let go, that's not willing to surrender. And so it's always great to sit in your meditation, to first center yourself, right? To bring yourself into the moment, to stop thinking about what needs to be done, stop having your mind wander around the world of change, and to come to your moment in the now. Sit there and breathe into it. And then give yourself that affirmation that Vivekananda tells us to do every day, to remember, I am ever pure. And can you accept that about yourself? You see, if you say, oh, I'm ever pure, doesn't the ego pop up and begin accusing you? Wait a minute, you're not pure. What are you talking about? You do this and you do that, and you just thought this 10 minutes ago and this yesterday, and oh my God, do you remember the disaster of last Thursday? All of these things. The mind brings them up. The mind is always going to bring those things up. That's what I'm talking about when you have to understand that you are ever pure in this moment, not as your ego self, but as your God self, as your divine self. And you have to be willing to lay down the story of yourself in order to claim that purity which is inherently yours. You have to let go of the story that tells you what you are, that includes those phrases that I'm not ever pure, that I'm not ever free, that I'm not ever blissful, that I'm not the child of the divine. All those countering things that the mind brings up, that's our attachment to ego. And by not being willing to accept ourselves as perfect and pure, we then hold on to our impurity and we're defined as impure. So when Mother says this moment is perfect, that means even if someone just died, that means even if your house is burning down, it means even if whatever it is, you've lost your dog, whatever the conditions are, your task and part of spiritual practice is to suss out the moment with discernment, to understand how Mother can say that in this moment you should be content because it is perfect for you. This moment is God's gift to you, your experience of it. And so if it's not pleasant, Sri Nisargadatta says, well, that's an invitation to do some discerning. Because if it's not pleasant, that means you've got an attachment. You're not letting go of something. You're depending on a condition for your happiness or for your comfort or for your contentment. And conditions are not reliable. We cannot depend on conditions for our contentment because they're ever changing. They're always changing. And if the conditions don't change, your blessed little mind will change. It's one's favorite food will suddenly become a food it can't stand anymore, or the cup of coffee that you enjoyed so much is suddenly not available at the store anymore. So this is the problem with living in the world of conditions and trying to make ourselves comfortable in it. It's a constantly moving target, and you'll be busy forever. That's what discernment teaches us. So find the contentment in the moment, and if you can't find it, look for attachments. Think about, what is the condition? What are my attachments to a condition that define this moment as less than perfect? And take those conditions, take those things into the light of awareness. That's all you have to do, is become aware of them and accept them. Don't have an opinion about them. Don't calculate about them. Don't ruminate about them. Just say, there it is, Mother. Look at that attachment. And you yourself say, look, and make yourself look very honestly at that attachment. That's all you have to do. Just become aware of it. In the light of awareness, your own nature will eventually shove it out. But don't lie to yourself. That's the danger.
Swamiji?
Yes.
So in this scenario, like say somebody really dear to you is critically ill or has, a real health issue. So in order for you to stay grounded, you realize that you are suffering or, having a problem, not feeling good about it is because of your attachment to the person. Is
To the
that
body.
what we are saying?
Yes. Yeah.
So then how do you reconcile, like you become aware of the attachment and then just don't dwell on it?
No, it's not a matter of not
I mean,
dwelling on
how do
it.
you get to the point where you're accepting the situation to be it is there, that's it?
Yes. That's it.
How do you do that? I mean, I hear this, I mean, intellectually it's wonderful, but to actually be in that space is tough.
Yes. Well, it's tough because of our attachment. It's actually the easiest thing we'll ever do when it comes. You must see, when you're practicing and you actually let go of things, you actually surrender something in a real way. That seems hard to do when you're doing it. After you've done it, there's nothing but this wonderful expansion, a relaxation into it. Like I remember, the week before I joined the monastery, that was a very difficult week because I had to get rid of my bank accounts. I had to get rid of my apartment and all my things. I could only bring one bag into the monastery, got rid of my cell phone, got rid of all my credit cards, got rid of all my independence. I had to say goodbye to all my friends. I had to say goodbye to my family. Very, very, very difficult time. And the whole time I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. This is crazy. And that night when I went to the monastery for the first time and laid down in my bed in my room, and I say my bed, but it wasn't my bed, it was already made, and the room already had pictures on the wall, and the room already had books in the bookshelf, but they weren't mine. And I climbed into this stranger's bed, and there's stranger's sheets, and I laid in a room and cried, because that really brought it home to me. I will never sleep in my own bed again. I will never have my own bookshelf again. I will never have my own pictures on the wall again. It's like, all of that is done. But the next morning when I woke up, what a joy. Just, ah, all of that stuff just gone. And I realized I'm still me. I didn't lose anything of me by walking away from everything. Me, the whole me was still there. And I thought, what an amazing thing. I just gave up everything that I've worked my whole life for. I was 35 at the time, so I slipped in that door at the last minute. But that to let go of all of that just gave a great relief. So what we do is, like, to take your example, if someone is dying, all right, of course we feel for their suffering, all right. We want to be a companion to them in that. And that will be somber. It doesn't have to be sad, but it can be somber because you don't want to make light of their situation for their sake, right? But you understand that you're attached to a body. It's not the person you're attached to. You're attached to a body because that's what's going away. That's what's dying. So who is this person? What is the truth of this person? What does Thakur tell us? They're telling us that each one of us is not a body mind. Each one of us is a manifestation of Satchitananda, which is what? Love, right? Love, existence, and wisdom. That person's always going to exist. If they're not existing as a body, how are they existing? They're existing as love and wisdom, right? And where is that love and wisdom? It's within you, right? It's within you. So that person is actually the relationship you have with them. They're not the body. They're the relationship that you have with them. The love that you have in your heart for them is what they were. That is the Satchitananda. And you have that within you. You're one with them already because of that love. And so when their body drops, you really sit and say, I always knew that body was going to go. There is not a single body that's not going to go in this world. That's the nature of it. From the day you were born, that's one of the things in Katha Upanishad. When Nachiketas' father says, I give you to death, we think, oh, that's a curse. Well, it's not a curse. His father gave him life, and in giving him life, he gave him death, right? Because that body's gonna be born, be sustained, and then die. So it's a fact. Everybody's going to go. What is there to be sad of? That's life. That's the way this is. These bodies rise up and they fall down and go away. But what remains? That love, that relationship that you had with that person is yours. It can't be taken away. So when they're gone and you think about them, if you remember them as the body, all of your memory of them is nothing but sadness because you can't have that body back. That's an attachment to a body. You're going to be in trouble if you're attached to a body, even if it's your own, because, look at us. These things are melting. We've got plenty of warning that they're on their way to going away, right? Little by little, the earth is claiming them even before we're done with them, right? Everything is falling to the ground. So it's knowing that. That's just been a constant fact. How can we be sad about something that is guaranteed and normal and universal? So we do we do exactly that. We discern. We're saying, okay, look, the body fell. I always knew the body was going to fall. Why would I have attached to something that I knew was going to fall? And the scripture says that my friend is not the body and my friend is not the mind. What is my friend? My friend is love and wisdom and existence. And that's what I am as well. And together, the love that's in me reflected in the love that was in them. That's who they are. So when I think of them, the body can remind me of them, but what I think about and cherish is the love that they left in me. That is who they were. And I will always have that. That will never go away. And that is the gift we have for each other. And so death is a changing in understanding. It's lifting our eyes off of the temporary, lifting our eyes off of the changing, and putting on our eyes on that which is unchanging, which is permanent. And love in its purest form is unchanging and permanent. It is the part of us that remains. It's what we leave even in this material world. When we go, that's what we leave behind. We leave our love, and we leave it with everybody, all of our friends and all of our family. And that love is what is celebrated, so that when you think of losing someone in that sense, you can celebrate, you can enjoy the love that you still have and still enjoy about them. And their presence with you is still there, now in a subtle form in your mind and thoughts, that their presence is there. And you can laugh about the times you've had, and you can be happy about the moments you shared and the times when they gave that love to you or built that love for you. And so we build contentment around that. We prepare ourselves because everything's going to go. Everything. There'll be a day when you take your last breath and you become a monk. Everybody comes out of this world a monk. Whether you did it before you died or did it at the moment of death, you'll become a monk because you'll walk away from everything. The only difference is if you become a monk, you let go of it. Mother didn't have to take it out of your hand. If you tried to hold on to it to the end, Mother will gently take it away, not by ripping it out of your hand, but by offering you something more attractive so that your toddler mind will let go of this body and let go of this past experience. And Mother will give you herself, and you'll find your joy and you'll find your bliss. So it's always discerning. Mother's given us the tools. She's told us what the truth is. The truth will make you free, right? That's a big thing Jesus says. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. And so that's what we do. When we're in a situation where we're faced with attachments, attachments are a lie. They're a non-truth. We're holding on to something unreal because it's changing. And so we discern. We apply the truth that we know, and we see how it fits in this moment and how it applies in this particular scenario. And then we sit with it and we accept it until we embrace it. And when we embrace it, that sense of relief will come because we've learned, we've grown, we've transcended something, a lie. We've transcended a lie in ourselves. And so there'll be great joy in that. And that's how we find contentment in the moment. You sit here, you take a breath in and you'd be like, oh, I'm just in a mood. And you think, well, where is that coming from? How did that mood happen? Is that mood me? I'm not the mind. Can I put that mood in the mind? Can I separate from it? Well, how do I separate from it? Well, I repeat my affirmation, I am ever free. And so you sit there and think, why don't I feel free? And you look for your attachments. Once again, what things am I holding on to that I'm beholden to? And you let go of them. You set them down one by one until the moment is free for you. You've let go of your story of the past. So that means this moment's full of potential. By setting down the past, you become infinite possibilities arise in front of you. So you take great delight in the infinity. Then you take away the future. Then you can lay down all of your anxieties about whether you're going to get something done or whether something's going to be paid or whether something's going to be finished. You lay down your idea of the future and you just be here in this moment. And you'll come to realize that all troubles are a combination of past and future. Present is always peaceful. You always have all that you need in the present. Sit here and without thoughts of the past, no problem can be defined. Sit here and without thoughts of the future, no anxiety can be formed. You just sit in this presence. And then you understand the nature of presence. What is the nature of presence? God is everywhere present and always perfect. So you breathe into that. Wow. God's everywhere present. And what is God? God is love. So you think love is everywhere present. And there's a wonderful thing that happens inside when you begin thinking of ever-present love. The love that's in you begins to sing, begins to vibrate like a guitar case, like when the string is plucked, that guitar resonates. When you sit and think of divine love, you'll feel it. It's the first thing you'll feel. It's how you find your shrine. It's how you find your inner shrine, is by thinking of a pure love and then abstracting the thing that you're thinking of that you're calling pure love and pay attention to where that love is happening within you. And it's coming through that thumb-sized hole in your heart chakra. The divine love, that perfect love is leaking through you and becomes you, actually. It becomes the energy that becomes your action, becomes your expression of the divine that you put your name on. All right. Does that make
Thank
sense? Is
you.
that helpful? All right.
Yes,
Yeah, it's a
very
big
nice.
important. I took that time because it's an important skill, and it's one that will become natural to you, and will understand because it's infuriating as an ego self when all of these sages say, "Oh, realization, it's easy." We're all like, we're all looking around at all the other ego selves. We're like, this isn't easy. Is it easy for you? No, it's not easy for me. Why isn't it easy? Because you won't let go. That's all. That's the only hard part. Letting go is freedom. And so you want to be free, let go. Take a chance. So Mother says, wherever he keeps us, and in whatever way he does so, we have to abide by it contentedly. We have to do this practice to find the perfection in the moment, because this moment is God. Right? We talked about that many times. You are the I am. Right, in the Old Testament, when Moses is being told by God to go to the Pharaoh and demand the release of 3 million slaves, Moses is like, okay, I'll go, but who am I to tell the Pharaoh to let go of 3 million slaves for nothing but the fact that I'm asking him to? Who will I say sent me? By what authority do I do this? And God says to him, tell him that the I am that I am has sent you. God's name is I am. So your existence is God. God is the one who is dreaming the dream that gives you space to exist, that gives you your life. So it's another one of those things that you can bring in when you're thinking of pure love. Also think of existence and know, what is this existence? Experience just being. Even if it's uncomfortable, even if you're in a situation where you have a broken leg and the flu and you're stuck in bed in an ugly room, there's still the amazement of the fact that you know where you are, that you can feel pain, that you can feel a body, that you can see beauty, that you can breathe and take a deep breath, that you have the potential of life in you. All of these things, it's a matter of recalculating, recentering yourself, making the unchanging reality the important thing, and resting, finding a refuge in that unchanging. And what is that unchanging? That unchanging is an unconditioned love. That unchanging is an unconditioned wisdom. And that unchanging is this moment, this isness that you are composed of, right? You've been using the same word to describe yourself your whole life, no matter what. I. Well, who is that? That's the unchanging presence of the divine in you. It can't be the body, because the body's radically different every time you get up out of bed. You should have seen my face this morning. Radically different. So it's not the body that keeps the continuity of I, because, at one time you were a tubby little baby that didn't even know you had toes, laying there kicking at the air. And now you're fully grown. Your body's begun to melt and return to earth. But there's still an I there, and it's the same I that was there when you were a baby and when you were 5 and when you were 13 and when you were 20. That I is the unchanging reality within you. That is where you find your contentment. That is where you find your peace. That is where you find the world as perfect, is in that space. So wherever he keeps us, and in whatever way he does so, we have to abide by it contentedly. We suffer as a result of our own actions, right? What's another word for our own actions? Our past, all right? We suffer for our own actions. We suffer for our own story. The past is a story, right? And why do we say the past is a story? Our actions are a story because they're not here now. They aren't here. They don't have existence anymore. They are imagined. So everything in your past is now an imagination. It's a concept called the past. But in eternity, there is no past. There's only now, right? And so even in your actions that you're doing now, if you're doing it from the understanding, I am ever free and ever pure, I am beloved of God, grace is mine completely. You act from that place of love and knowledge, then the actions you lay down in the moment will lead you toward freedom. You'll have a better tomorrow. But if you do the vices, the things that led you into separateness, you collected pleasures as your treasure, you collected materials as your treasure, then those are the things that cause suffering. Those are the things that cause trouble. You take out that big loan for a big giant house. Now you've got anxiety for the rest of your life until you've paid that horrible debt. You buy that beautiful car. Well, now you have to make sure it stays a beautiful car. So you can't leave it in the parking lot without taking up 2 spaces in case somebody scratches it with a shopping cart. So you suffer as a result of your own actions, right? So who can you blame? We all want to blame God. Oh, why did you do this to me? It's like, I didn't do it to you. Everything happens as it happens. You tried to hold on to something that was going away, and that's the nature of it. These things all go away. I told you that from the beginning. I've taught you that every day of your entire life. I've killed everyone that's ever lived. I've destroyed every town that was ever built. You can't blame me. This is the way it is. So don't be attached. You know, watch your actions. Watch where your treasure is. That's the thing. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So be careful. We suffer as a result of our own actions. It is unfair to blame anybody for it. We have to surrender ourselves completely to the Lord with faith and devotion in Him. Serve others to the best of our capacity and never be a source of sorrow to anybody. So he gives us 3 things there that are quite beautiful. Well, there's 4 things actually if we take the sentence before. When he says we suffer as a result of our own actions, it's important that we take on responsibility for our life and our conditions. And the major reason that it's so important to be willing to accept responsibility is that is the only way that you can change. If you're blaming someone, then you've become a victim. You've become a passive entity, and you've given them the power to destroy you or to make you unhappy or uncomfortable. So by being responsible, it's not a negative thing. That's how we take back our power. That's how we're able to say, okay, look, I've made these mistakes. I've done these things that weren't helpful, and I'm just not going to do them anymore. And then you're done. You don't have to do nothing more. Your problems, if you stay present, your problems come to you one at a time, right? That's why we wrap them in grace. It's like, okay, I messed up. So now do I sit and ruminate about having messed up and feel guilty about it and feel shamed about it? No, waste of time and a complete lack of faith. That's why in the same sentence where she says, you can't blame anybody for it, she says we have to surrender ourselves completely to the Lord with faith. We have to accept it. It's like, yes, I messed up. I'm not going to do it again. I'm going to do my very best. And that not for the rest of my life, because you're projecting into a concept of a future that doesn't exist. You can't show me the future. You've got now. So your responsibility is not to do anything for the rest of your life. Your responsibility is in this moment. Do what is right in this moment. If you're thinking something you shouldn't be thinking, just stop. Nothing else needs to be done. If you're not thinking something you should be thinking, then start thinking that thing and be done. That's taken care of, nothing more. Oh, I need to pay a bill. Pay the bill. Nothing more to think of. In the moment, do what is necessary. Do it as worship in the awareness of the presence everywhere of your beloved, of your divine, ever free, ever beautiful self. Sit enraptured in that moment and do what is necessary, and life will pass peacefully, and the divine will be there at the end to bring you home. So do it with faith. Faith in what? Faith in the forgiveness of God, faith in the strength of the divine to give you what is necessary and to teach you and to raise you up, faith in the fact that you're an heir to these things, that you're not a beggar to them. So you're not begging God for these things, so he's not going to withhold them from you. You just prepare yourself for them, and they come in their time. It will come. You will be free. You will see God. You will be realized. And as a matter of fact, that part of you that is giving you the energy and the knowledge and the wisdom that you're using in your mind, that self is already free, already realized. But you're not living there. You're not living in the moment. Where are you living? You're living in the mind. And the mind is composed entirely of the past. And it takes that past and projects it entirely into the future. So if you're living in here, in the calculating mind, if you have opinions and ideas about everything, plans for everything, and all of that, you're living up here, and you've created a false past, which is all of your attachments, and you've projected a false future, which is all of your desires, and you're spending your life going from your desires to your attachments, to your desires, to your attachments, to your desires, to your attachments, when that ever-present, unchanging, ever blissful self is the present moment that you keep hopping over to get from the past to the future, to get from your attachments to your desires, back and forth. And all the planning that you're doing is because you've got attachments that are causing desires that have to be fulfilled, and you need plans to make it happen. That's why you've lost your peace. Learn to live here and now. In this moment, you can only be in one room at a time, so why have 12 of them? You can only be in one car at a time. Why have 9 of them? That car is going to get you from here to there, whether it's a Volkswagen or a Lexus. Why have a headache over which one it is? If you're eating food, any food is going to fill you up. Why worry about whether it's lobster or a vegetable? Just be in the present. Offer Mother that food as you eat and think of that divine love. This is how we come to this contentedness. This is how we find our peace. We have to surrender. So surrender what? Surrender your ideas. Surrender your story of the past that's creating your interpretation of the present. We don't want to live in an interpretation of the present. We want to live in the present, right? And the interesting thing about it is that you can put 10 people in a room to experience the moment. They're all experiencing the same moment, 10 people, all of them in the same room. And yet you'll see some of them will be elated, wonderfully happy people. Some of them are going to be terribly depressed and sad people. Some of them, you're going to have everything. How and why? All of them are in the same room experiencing the same moment, because all of them are carrying a story that they haven't surrendered, that defines their moment for them. And that moment will be happy or sad, up or down, all these different things, even though you're all in the same room experiencing the same now. So learn to experience the now and not your story about the now, right? So no thinking, no thought is necessary. The moment will reveal itself as divine when you stop projecting your meaning on it and allow it to be what it is without anybody telling you, without a mind telling you, without a past telling you, without a preacher telling you, without a monk telling you. See the moment as it is, without definition. And if you do it right, you'll go into samadhi. Because to see the moment as it is what samadhi is. That's the simple definition. Samadhi is seeing the moment as it is, which means you see the beloved, you see the divine. And your body and mind have nowhere to put such an enormous, beautiful, amazing thing. So we have to surrender ourselves completely, she says. So you can't keep any story for yourself, can't keep any part of your narrative for yourself. Surrender yourself completely to the Lord with faith. Faith in the fact that Mother accepts you. Faith in that she is your mother. Faith in the fact that grace has got you covered. That Thakur said, just hoist your sail. Just become aware of me. Just sit to do your practice, and I'll blow the winds that will bring you home. So it's a faith in that. And devotion. Devotion will happen naturally. When you sit in the thought of when you sit in the thought of God, when you sit in the thought of an unconditioned love, what will happen but devotion? What will appear to you but devotion? That heart will well up in a great, gracious joy, and the more you accept it, right? The more that you open yourself up and realize it's not about my worthiness. It's not about my good enough. This is about what I am. and I am a child of the mother, a child of the beloved. One time I had a terrible, well, a fall, not a physical fall, but a fall in the monastery in my own behavior in the first year. And I went and in tears, told Swami, I was just like, oh, Swami, this is so terrible, blah, 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 blah. And I started crying because I felt so guilty and I felt so horrible. And I was, my whole, um, it was right there in the beginning of my monastic life. And I just thought, oh God, I'm just ruining everything and blah, blah, blah. And I was crying uncontrollably as I was telling Swami, and he yelled at me. But do you know what he yelled at me? He said, what is all this crying and weeping? You're a child of the mother. Sit in mother's lap. What is this you're holding on to and weeping over? Your honesty has saved you. Go and sit with the beloved in the shrine. So his message was exactly this, saying, have faith. Have faith in that you are the child of the mother. She has already forgiven. She has already let go. She has always seen that divine self in you that is realizing the beloved, that is letting go. All right. Faith and devotion in him. Serve others to the best of our capacity. The only way you can do that is by being present. If you're distracted by past and future, you'll be tied up in your own world. But be present, and you'll be the greatest gift to people, right? That person who's passing away. If you're sitting in there thinking about how sorrowful you are about losing their body and this and that and going through all those emotions, you can't be there for them. But if you can just sit there next to them, you don't have to say anything. Just touch them with the intention of being with them. Just being there, fully present. That's the best, greatest, and really the only gift you have to give to people. Be with them. When you're going through the line at the grocery store, be with the people in line. Don't be afraid to connect. Don't be afraid to say what's on your mind to them. Just be. If you want to say hi, say hi. If you want to say something funny, say something funny. Make them your own, which means pretend that you've always known them, because that's the truth. You have known them. They are you. And just like you, they're standing in a line. And just like you, they're afraid to connect. And just like you, they're caught up in their story. You be the light that sets them free by saying hello, by touching them, by smiling and saying something funny or sweet or whatever, or saying nothing at all, just looking at them with love in your eyes. And when you talk to the cashier, don't talk to her to get things out of the way so you can leave. Talk to her. She is your beloved. She's a manifestation of the same beloved that's running your show. So talk to him through her eyes. Talk to her like you're praying. Greet her like you're greeting Thakur, because only in our mind are we pretending. In the reality, who else are you talking to? There's one without a second. You are communicating with the beloved. You are buying groceries from the beloved. You are giving your money to the beloved. So enjoy her presence deeply. Have faith. Devotion will come. And find contentment in this moment, because this moment is where you will always be. Here and now never changes. Wherever you are, there you are, right? And never be a source of sorrow to anybody. Yeah, which means love them. That's all that means. Make sure that what you do is because you love. And if you run that check before you say something, you run that check before you do something, you run that check before you plan something, is this loving? Am I saying this because I love? Then you will never be a sorrow to anybody. Anything said with love. Look at Vivekananda, the way he berated, well, Indians and Americans sometimes. He just laid it out there. How did he get away with that? Because when he said it, nobody doubted that he was saying it for love. He was saying it because it was necessary to hear and it was helpful for us to hear, right? So become that for everyone. Don't ever be a sorrow to somebody. The disciple comes to Holy Mother and he says to Holy Mother, if there is a God, why is there so much misery in the world? Does he not see? Hasn't he the power to remove these evils? Mother, the creation itself is full of griefs. How can one understand joy if there is no sorrow? And how can everyone be happy at the same time? There is a story that once Sita said to Rama, oh no, not this story. Oh, I don't like this story at all. The creation itself is full of grief. How can one understand joy if there is no sorrow? And how can everyone be happy at the same time? There is a story that once Sita said to Rama, why do you not remove everybody's miseries? Make everyone in your kingdom, all of your subjects, happy. You can do it if you like. Rama answered, can everyone be happy at the same time? Well, they can if you so desire. Why not satisfy all their needs from the royal treasury, just as you wish? Then Rama called Lakshmana and said, go and tell everyone in my kingdom that all their needs will be supplied from my treasury. When the people heard this, they came and explained their needs. The treasury was laid open. Everyone lived in happiness. But such was the dispensation of Rama that soon the roof of the royal palace showed cracks, and water seeped through. Masons were sent for to repair the crack, but there were none to be found. Where was the laborer to be found? The subjects also came and complained that because there were no masons or workmen, their houses and buildings were falling to pieces. Then, seeing no other way, Sita said to Rama, we cannot suffer in the wet like this. Let everything be as it was. Then we can get workmen again. Everybody cannot be happy at the same time. So be it, answered Rama. In the twinkling of an eye, everything was as it used to be. One could get workmen again. Lord, it is true that this life is only a game of yours, said Sita. No one can suffer for all time. So I don't like this. I don't like that story at all because, I just feel like Sita should have gotten up there and fixed her own roof. But I I don't like the fact that I have to be unhappy because she needed a workman to fix her roof. So, anyway, I'll talk to Sita about that someday. But at the present, you have to think about it because the real truth of that story is that just meeting everybody's needs is not going to make everybody happy, right? Because certainly Bill Gates has all of his needs met. Certainly Larry Ellison, certainly any of these folks has everything that they need to have their needs met. But where is their happiness? Where is their contentment? You see, the secret is that contentment doesn't lay in conditions, right? And so, in a sense, Sita would have had to learn that too, that she could be happy with a leaky roof or not a leaky roof. There's plenty of poor people that have leaky roofs who are happy with leaky roofs. They're happy that they have a house to be in, that they're not sleeping under the freeway bridge down at the corner. So it's like your contentment doesn't have to do with whether your conditions are being met or not, because they never will be. Because the mind that's demanding conditions is ever changing and it's going to change the conditions it needs. Those poor people that are living down in the one room, shack at the end of the road, when everybody's getting all their needs met and they're looking around like, well, this is cool. Everybody's got what they need, but how come I have to get what I need in a one room shack and they've got a big old house up there? I want a big old house. I don't want to live in this one room shack. You see? So it's a much deeper story than what it betrays. But it's that notion, this world happens because of ego, because of ignorance, right? Thakur says this whole world happens because of lust and greed, right? That's what makes this world happen. That's what makes us discontent. That's what fills us with desire, is identifying with the needs of this body, identifying with the noise in this mind, and obeying them. That's how life goes on. And as long as we stay in that state, we're out of balance. That's why we have action. That's why we're not unchanging, because we're out of balance, because we haven't built. There's that story in the New Testament about the wise man and the foolish man, and the wise man builds his house on the, or the foolish man builds his house on the sand, and the rains come and the winds blow and the house is destroyed, right? But the wise man builds on the rock. And then the rains came and the floods came, but his house stood firm because it was built on the rock. What's he telling us? What is the sand? Anybody know what is the sand? The sand is your mind. The sand is the world of the changing, which is your mind, right? This world of the changing is your sand. And if you build on in the world of the changing, your house will come down, because everything in the changing world ends. It all comes over. But to build on the rock, what is the rock? The rock is the truth, the unchanging. That which is unchanging alone is real. And so look within you, find that unchanging self, find the I that has been you for your whole life through all of the changes. Find that. It is the I am. It is the beloved. Find that in yourself. Become aware of that in yourself and build your house there. Build your presence in the presence. Build your life in the presence, in the shrine of the heart. And by building your life on the rock, you will find contentment. And the changing, you will understand, has never touched you and never will touch you. Because everything that changes is only a thought. That's something you can sit with. There is no world. There's only thoughts of a world. There is nothing, right? Do I have to do that thing again? You live in a world of symbols. You're living in your mind, right? Because you've never seen the outside world. You've only gotten information through senses, and you don't know where that information is coming from. You've assigned it to an outside world. But Sri Nisargadatta, for one, says there is no such thing as an outside world. So you live in a mind. Your mind, the pure mind, is God. What is the pure mind? The mind that has no ego self, no me and mine in it. And that mind is unchanging. It's absolutely in a bliss, in a state of contentment, always. That mind is Brahman. But the mind of thinking, which is you running around grabbing thoughts and identifying with them. This is my thought. This expresses me. This is the subject of my story. This is the effect I'm trying to get with that cause. The cause and effect, the whole idea of cause and effect exists in the mind only. Sri Nisargadatta says, what you call cause and effect is merely repetition, right? There is no cause and effect. So we live in our mind, and it's a mind of symbols, right? What's happening, this stuff is all old hat for us, but it's coming up, so we're going through it again. This mind, that we live in, it's just a world of symbols. We have a unity, one without a second. That's all we experience. But we experience it with 5 tools, our 5 senses. So it comes into this inner world in 5 disparate pieces. And what does the mind try to do? It tries to put the puzzle together. It tries to create the world of one without a second in the mind. But it can't do it because there's more pieces than what 5 senses can pick up. So it's only got a partial picture. So it's always shifting. Oh, this one is related to that one. Okay, I got new information. Oh, it's related to those 2 and to this thing over here. We'll put it in that box over there. And that's the world. It's not this out here. It's this in here, right? So don't build your mind, build your life in the mind based on your thoughts and ideas and wants and pleasures. Build it in the heart, where there's a steady flow of love flowing into you to be expressed as you in this world, never causing sorrow to anyone. And in knowing that you live in a world of symbol, where all of your thoughts, all of the material world you think you perceive exist only as thoughts in your mind, right? If I say your car, immediately your car arises in your mind. When you see your car, the car arises in the mind. If it didn't arise in the mind, you wouldn't see the car. It wouldn't be there. So you live in a mind. So understand that, because that tells you that mind can't affect you. It's just a thought. It's up to you whether you own it or not. It's up to you whether you think it describes you or not. If you can just let that thought arise out of nothingness and fall back into nothingness, then you can remain content, even if that thought is for a new Ferrari, right? But if that thought arises and you're like, ooh, a new Ferrari, that's an idea. And then a companion thought arises because it's been summoned. Oh, my car is old. And then another thought arises, oh, I don't have enough money yet, but if I get that job, that promotion, I can get it. And you see how just that one attachment to the thought of the Ferrari now has created a condition of being. You've now got to get all these things aligned in order to buy that new car. It's like that for everything. That's why awareness is so important. And finding that space inside that's already content, you can learn to watch that thought of the Ferrari come up and disinterest, and it falls back again and disappears and doesn't bother you again, doesn't cause you any trouble. But if that thought comes up and you're like, ooh, 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 and you manage not to grab it and it goes down, that's not good enough, because what's going to happen? Because of your interest in it, that thought's going to circle back and come back again. And it's going to nag you because it knows you're interested. You know you're interested. You know you don't want to let go of it. You're not going to act on it right now because you've got some dispassion going on, some discernment going on, but you haven't renounced it. You've only said no for the moment, no for right now, right? And so those thoughts keep coming back, and you think, oh God, I'm so weak. But what does Vivekananda say in that poem? Yours is the hand that holds the rope that binds you down, Sannyasin bold. Say Om Tat Sat Om. These thoughts come back to nag you over and over because you won't let them go. You keep bringing them back because you're interested in them. You're titillated by them. So you keep replaying them because there's no one in here but you. The mind is not sentient. The mind is not doing anything of its own accord. It is the wheel of samskara that's just rolling down the hill from your past actions. That's all it does. Every thought related to the previous thought, round and round it goes. But you show up and you're like, oh, that one's mine. Oh, yes, I like that. Oh, no, I don't like that. And you gather those thoughts and you've collected a bundle of limitations and restrictions, Swamiji says, that define you, that small self. And in that small self, there is never stability. There is never transcendence. You have to surrender. And what do you have to surrender? That little collection of limitations and restrictions that have become so dear to you as your personality, as your story, as your hopes and your dreams, as your collected things, collected relatives, collected friends, collected accomplishments. As long as you hold on to them, you are building on the changing sand, and it will come down and suffering will be there. And you have to take responsibility. And so be aware. Learn to see your mind and to see these thoughts before they even arise. Know their nature and let them go and be present. All right. Oh, it's 7:06. My goodness. We didn't even get through two questions. Anybody have anything they want to add or say or ask or challenge or ruminate on?
I wanted to say something to Karan.
Yeah.
Sure.
It may be of any assistance if you are going through a possible loss. Just from my experience, what has helped, it's kind of like inevitably the Lord's going to show up in your house. And if the Lord showed up in your house, you would give him everything. And seeing, if you get the blessing to see your loved one pass out of the body, that breath is not their breath. That you kind of see as that's the life force of the Lord. And once that breath leaves the body, you realize you're still awareness and you're aware of your breath. But that breath, your loved one merges with God, and you just realize that that's in you. So that loved one becomes more part of you within. Like you see the body's not the loved one. Like that life goes somewhere, but you'll hold that treasure here and you'll hold that treasure here, but it's merged with God. So it's now part of you, like, more than it was out there. And the pain you'll feel it. You can't help it because you love and you don't want to let it go. But it's helpful to just everything that we're taught, just continually renouncing and realizing it's not ours. That is where the pain comes. Just you're forced to let it, surrender it to where it belongs, and grace will come. It'll get you through it. And I mean, you're a woman of faith, and it takes that much. And grace will carry you through. It will. I just wanted to say that it's gonna be okay.
Thank you, Nicole. But with God's blessing, I'm okay. Everybody's okay around me. That was a thought that came to my mind. But
Good.
Thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate it.
That was beautiful. Beautiful, Nicole.
And I felt, and I had to share it because I had a thought and I had to spit it out. I feel like, just kind of humorously, God was like, y'all go play outside and I'm going to leave the light on for you. It kind of just kept cycling through, like, we're just out here playing for a while. But he left the light on for us for when we go home. You know, the light's always on, like Motel 8 or Motel 6 or whatever.
Yeah.
There's many rooms there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful, Nicole. That's
Yes, thank you.
thanks. Yeah, because it's meaningful because we know you've gone through it, and this
Yes.
is your strength that
It's
taught
God.
you this.
Oh, it's God's. This path, everybody I'm looking at, just so beautiful. It's the fruits of the practice are real, and it's, man, I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm just so grateful.
It is absolutely, I can relate to that too, because it was just my husband and I. You know how it is when you get older and one leaves, the other one is just feeling like there is nobody else. Where do I go from here? What is going to happen? And especially in an Indian family, the man does everything, and the woman almost is like a Dumbo, does not know anything. So that also gives quite a bit of, it is very scary. And the only thing I had also that kept me going was that I really did feel Mother's presence. Every day, just holding me tight, saying that I am here for you. I'm here. I'm here. Don't you know that I'm here? And that took me day by day. The sadness is there. When the memories will come, sadness will be there. It is all. But that real feeling that she's here, she's real, she's with you, that holding just gives you peace, just unbelievably. Gives you strength like you will never believe. That she's there, and why am I fearing? What is there to fear? You know, that is also have been there. And I will tell you another story also. I lost a child.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, very young. Yeah, she was very young. She was actually a twin with Priya. Oh. But she left early. And I just could not let go. You know, I knew I was still kind of with the, spiritual background, everything I had. So I knew in my mind, this will happen. It is going to happen. But the mind just does not want to go. It is a child. It just kept on holding on to it. And I just could not get out of it. And then it came almost like a slap on the face. Who are you calling yours? Was she ever yours? Was she ever yours? I gave you just for keepsaking for a little bit. And when I come back and ask, you are saying it is yours. And that also just gave me a little kind of detachment, saying that she was not mine to begin with. Why am I holding on to her? So that also, in different ways, Mother let us deal with these things. But it is
Yeah, that's
but it is real. It is real.
yeah.
Mother's grace is very real.
Yeah.
Yeah, it becomes in time, it becomes more real than the world of objects, you know.
Yes. Yes.
That in Thakur, when you find that place, that unchanging space inside, and you begin to really dwell there, to make your decisions from there, to watch life from there, the
Yeah.
outside world becomes what it is, just a constant display of change, never repeating, just playing, playing, playing. All of it is the momentary instance of what love of God is in its symbol. All the symbols combined, all the lives combined, all the events combined tell the story of God in the moment of pure love, of pure existence. And we begin to see it that way. We begin to experience it that way. It's all a love letter of the divine that you
That I
read.
remember, Maharaj, always what you are saying. And that helps a lot too. To see everything that comes in life as a grace of Mother.
Mm-hmm.
It is a part of grace. And you actually told me that it went deep into my head. If you look at things like that, everything is a love letter from God.
That is right.
Everything, good or bad. Because she only knows love.
Yes.
She's nothing but love. So that I learned that went deep in with from you.
That's
Thank
by
you.
grace that it goes deep. Yeah, beautiful, really beautiful. All right.
Swami Ganga has something to say.
Who? Ganga?
Ganga. Yeah,
Oh,
her little
yes,
hands up.
please. Nice, that's what that is. Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, I wanted to share something because I found a quote that was really relevant to this entire talk the other day. Um, I must preface this with in the other day. I was in this like really weird mental space, like I just felt like so much doubt,
Uh-huh.
and I felt this kind of like I was deeply attached to this pattern of thought of just like feeling like awful, and it was funny because I was thinking about how fierce. I have a little tapestry of Ma Durga on my shrine space, and I'll show you to her. Let me give me just a second. And she holds this sword, and I was just like, she looks so fierce. You know, I have this
Wow.
multi-armed Durga that a friend of mine generously gave me. I was like, why did he give me this one? You know, because I never really presented to my other devotee friends as box of the Divine Mother. I usually just kind of vibed, and I never like expressed any kind of affection for the fierce forms of the Mother. And I
Right.
wondered why I had this. And as I was going through this bad mental place and thinking about that thought, I read this quote, and it's a Swami Vijnanananda quote. It says, "For the sake of the devotees, the Mother comes with 10 arms and says, 'Shed your fears. You have made me your sole refuge, and I am therefore protecting you with 10 arms. Death will be powerless to come anywhere near you. It is for you that I hold the sword.'" So powerful. I never saw it that way. I always thought the sword was at me. You know,
No, yeah.
um, I
Yeah.
I guess that is true in a way, you know. If you think of the depictions of like Mother Kali, you know, I associate the sword with like, no more me, you know.
No. It's
But I
all of
guess
your
I'm,
demons. Your demons are what
yeah,
she wears around her neck. As she conquers all of your weakness, as she conquers all of your demons for you, she wears them around her neck. But you're the one she's liberating in that army, with that army. Beautiful. Yeah, Elizabeth put a wonderful picture of Durga. Oh, she sent a second picture of the Divine Mother. Wonderful pictures in the chat. If you want to check your chats, it's in
Oh, I
there.
would love to see that.
That'd be cool.
Thank you,
Like a-
Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Oh, I love the second one. It's so cute. And the first one was beautiful. Oh, I love the first one. So beautiful.
Oh,
I
there's
was
another
wondering
one.
about it because there's this story in the Kapalmrita. I'm sure you guys are familiar with it, where Thakur mentions his vision of the mother coming out of the Ganga. And she has a baby and she's carrying it so lovingly. She eats it. And it's like, oh my God, like I'm the baby? Am I gonna be okay? Like, I love my mom, but like I don't think I understand her. I don't think I can approach her, you know? And
Yeah,
sometimes with the sort of ethereal, like gentleness and oftentimes like graveness that Holy Mother conveys in her words, it's like, how do we approach Mother? She's our mother, but like I can't help but be a little frightened of her sometimes. Um, I don't know why. Maybe it's just like a thing of mine because it seems like when I look at the other devotees around me, there's so much affection and love for Mother. And I'm just like, well, she kind of scares me a little bit. You know, not in like a way where I'm averse or like have an aversion to her, but I just
yeah,
find myself in this mood of awe, you know.
yes, that's the mother. Yeah,
Mother.
we come from mother, we return to mother. We come out of the earth, we go back into the earth, the Divine Mother, as a body, as an ego self. It's the ego self that feels intimidation from that because it sees its demise. But that which is us, that which is truly us, has no end. It cannot be burned, wetted, it can't be destroyed. That the you of you is the divine, is mother. She's just living through you, living your story for fun, for delight.
She will eat you. She will eat you. She will
Yes,
eat you.
yes.
It's
She will
great.
she will eat the ego. Yes, the
That,
manifest itself, she will
yeah.
eat for sure.
Yeah,
She'll
she'll make you
eat
groan.
Yeah,
you.
wonderful. All right.
Thank you,
Jai
Maharaj.
Ma, Jai Thakur, Jai Swamiji. Thank you for sharing those beautiful things.
Yes, thank you, thank
Thank
you.
you, everybody. Thank you. Be
All
well.
right. Good night.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night. Thank you.